Can I have your attention, please? Please take your seats. Welcome to the organizational session of the 85th Senate. At this time, all persons not having privileges of the floor will please retire to the gallery. It is now my honor to call on the senator from Pleasance, being the oldest member of the Senate in point of continuous service, to assume the responsibilities of the chair for today's organizing session.
The Senate will come to order. Members on the floor and those in the gallery, please stand as we are led in prayer by the senator from Raleigh. Please remain standing as we are led in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance by the senator from Brooke.
Before I pray, I suppose it's appropriate for us to share a short chorus, a patriotic chorus, from America the Beautiful, given all of the challenges that we face in our land today. The chorus goes like this: America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I'm afraid that too many Americans do not grasp the eternal truth in these words, and crown thy good with brotherhood. If they did, our national problems would be more easily resolved, and our woes would be worked out. Before I pray, I want to share one verse. It is 2 Timothy 1:7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. May this verse guide us through the challenges we face both now and in the future as a state and as a nation. And now please join me in prayer. In the name of your Son Jesus, we ask, our Father, that you would place a hedge of protection around our nation and the state of West Virginia. We pray for people to identify with wisdom and truth, and to recognize that thy word is truth. May humility, repentant prayer, and cleansing of our sins be our cry, so that we might walk in the light of your grace and truth in this sin-cursed world, and be able to have fellowship one with another through the common bond of your Son's love. We understand that you are not the author of confusion. Therefore, we acknowledge that the ages-old battle between your good and Satan's evil is as real as ever. We humbly place our trust in you to guide us through the process of this legislative session. May your spirit of empowerment and oneness hover mightily over this place. As we attempt to do the people's business, may we not give way to distractions or discouragement. And one last thing, Lord, create in us pure hearts, honest motives, and discernment, because we've been chosen by our fellow West Virginians to move our state in a positive direction, to address difficult problems and maintain dignity. Bless this 85th session of the West Virginia State Legislature. We need your presence now more than ever throughout this Capitol complex. I ask for your continued favor upon the members of this chamber and all of the support workers. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
The senator from Brooke.
Thank you, Madam. Will the members in the guests in the galleries, please rise as we pledge the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk has a communication.
I have a letter dated November 20th, 2020, addressed to the Honorable President Mitch Carmichael, President of the West Virginia Senate. Dear President Carmichael, it is with the utmost respect that I submit my resignation from the West Virginia Senate effective December 1st, 2020. I have been blessed beyond measure to represent the 7th District as a senator. I have tried to serve faithfully with a level head and heart for the people of my district. I owe a debt of immense gratitude to my colleagues, especially my brothers in the minority, for their willingness to serve the state alongside me. Though we have not always agreed on policy, I know that we have had the same motive, safeguarding our state's finances and future in the way that makes the most sense to us. I am entering retirement in my private life. As I understand, the Senate is unlikely to reconvene before the next regular session, and my successor has already been elected. I choose to also retire from public office. Thank you for your leadership and friendship during my tenure at the Capitol. Sincerely, Paul Hardesty.
The communication will be received. The Honorable Mac Warner, Secretary of State, is now recognized for the presentation. I'm sorry. We need to stand at ease. The Secretary of State's in the House, and we have to wait for him to come over. You're at ease. Senate will come to order. Thank you. The Honorable Mac Warner, Secretary of State, is now recognized for the presentation of official Senate returns of the last general election on November 3rd, 2020.
Mr. President, Minority Leader, members of the Senate, I appear before you today to present a certified copy of the official results of the November 3rd election. The members of the West Virginia State Senate herein listed have been duly elected to serve in the 85th session of the West Virginia Legislature. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is my constitutional responsibility and honor to present these certified election results to the Clerk of the Senate.
A communication will be received. The Clerk will now call the roll to ascertain the presence of a quorum.
Senator Azinger. Senator Baldwin. Senator Beach. Senator Blair. Senator Boley.
Here.
Senator Caputo. Senator Clements. Senator Grady. Senator Hamilton. Senator Ehlenfeld. Senator Jeffries. Senator-elect Carnes. Senator Lindsay. Senator Maroney. Senator Maroney. Senator-elect Martin. Senator Maynard. Senator Nelson. Senator-elect Nelson. Senator-elect Phillips. Senator Plymel. Senator Roberts. Senator Romano. Senator Romano. Senator Rucker. Senator Smith. Senator Stallings. Senator-elect Stover. Senator Swope. Senator Seipolt. Senator Takubo. Senator Tarr. Senator Trump. Senator Unger. Senator Unger. Senator Weld. Senator Woelfel. Senator Woodrum.
"31 members and members-elect having answered to their names, the presence of a quorum is declared. Members-elect will now stand at your desk as your names are called to take the oath of office prescribed in the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
First Senatorial District, Ryan W. Weld of the County of Brooke. Second Senatorial District, Michael J. Maroney of the County of Marshall. Third Senatorial District, Donna J. Boley of the County of Pleasants. Fourth Senatorial District, Amy N. Grady of the County of Mason. Fifth Senatorial District, Robert H. Plymel of the County of Wayne. Sixth Senatorial District, Chandler Swope of the County of Mercer. Seventh Senatorial District, Rupi Phillips of the County of Logan. Eighth Senatorial District, Glenn D. Jeffries of the County of Putnam. Ninth Senatorial District, David Stover of the County of Wyoming. 10th Senatorial District, Jack David Woodrum of the County of Summers. 11th Senatorial District, Robert L. Carnes of the County of Randolph. 12th Senatorial District, Patrick S. Martin of the County of Lewis. 13th Senatorial District, Mike Caputo of the County of Marion. 14th Senatorial District, Randy E. Smith of the County of Tucker. 15th Senatorial District, Craig Blair of the County of Berkeley. 16th Senatorial District, Patricia Pertes Rucker of the County of Jefferson. 17th Senatorial District, Eric Nelson Jr. of the County of Kanawha.
The Honorable Evan H. Jenkins, Chief Justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, will now administer the oath of office to the senators-elect.
Well, good afternoon. A brief moment of personal privilege. Having served 12 years in here, I still felt the enthusiasm and the awe walking into this august chamber of the opportunity that I had. Many of you served with. It is great to see so many friends. For those of you newly elected, congratulations. We wish you the very best in your service to the people of West Virginia. If you are prepared, we are ready to administer the oath for those elected this past year for the beginning of the 85th legislative session. If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia, and faithfully discharge the duties of Senator according to the best of my ability. I will not accept or receive, directly or indirectly, any money or other valuable thing from any corporation, company, or person for any vote or influence I may give or withhold as senator on any bill, resolution, or appropriation, or for any act I may do or perform as senator. So help me God. Congratulations, senators.
All newly elected members of the Senate, having taken the several oaths of office, the next order of business will be the biennial election of officers. The floor is now open for nominations for president. The senator from Oregon is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my high honor and privilege at this time to place in nomination for the constitutional office of President of the West Virginia Senate, which carries statutorily also the title of Lieutenant Governor of the state of West Virginia, for the 85th legislature of this state, the name of the senior senator from the 15th senatorial district, our colleague Senator Craig Blair of Martinsburg in Berkeley County. Senator Blair is a graduate of Hedgesville High School and the James Rumsey Technical Institute and is a master electrician, master plumber. He is an entrepreneur, having started and built a very successful business of his own in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, water treatment filtration business, Sunset Water Systems Services, Inc., that he's owned and operated for many years, and is now transitioning into the capable hands of his son. Craig has expertise in water osmosis, ozone filtration, lots of things involved in the treatment, filtration, and purification of water that are way beyond my understanding. Craig was drawn to public service a generation ago, 2 decades ago now, as many of us were, when he saw things that needed to be changed in West Virginia. For Senator Blair, it was the broken workers' compensation system that we had in the state at that time that drew him into public service to the citizens of the state. And it was 2002 that he ran for the first time and was elected to the West Virginia House of Delegates. And Senator Blair served in the House of Delegates for a total of 4 consecutive terms thereafter, served there with distinction. In 2012, Senator Blair ran for the West Virginia Senate in the 15th senatorial district. It was newly created then in 2012, or at least newly reconfigured, from Berkeley County, and was elected and continued to serve, has been reelected twice since, in 2016 and then just last year again in 2020. As all members of the Senate know, Craig has served this body in a number of capacities, as the Majority Whip, as chairman of the Senate Committee on Government Organizations, and most recently, as chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, along with service on a whole host of other standing committees of the West Virginia Senate. Senator Blair has an abiding love for West Virginia, for its people, and he is committed to the continued progress and prosperity for West Virginia, for the health and prosperity of her inhabitants, her citizens, to build a future of this state that has such promise and potential, Madam President, and lies within our grasp. I've known Senator Blair for a long time. Senator Blair's favorite founding father is Benjamin Franklin, and he's known on occasion to quote Benjamin Franklin, as we all do. We're all familiar with many of his famous witticisms and wisdom, and I think it's probably not just the genius of Benjamin Franklin that appeals to Senator Blair, but also his ability to impart wisdom in plain speaking. You know, perhaps more than any other of the founders of this nation that we think of. One of the quotes that I think is appropriate today, a quote from Benjamin Franklin, is this: "If you would not be forgotten as soon as you are dead and rotten, either write things worth reading or do things worth writing." Write things worth reading or do things worth writing. So as I stand here today, Madam President, and poised as we are to elect the senior senator from the 15th as the next president of this body, this esteemed body, I have every confidence that during the 85th Legislature of West Virginia, this Senate will, working together, rise to write things worth reading and to do things worth writing under the leadership of the President of the Senate. Senator Blair is a person of strong principles. He's determined and committed in all things, but also skilled in the art of finding common ground and consensus, something that is as important now, perhaps, as it's ever been in our public life, our public personas, our discourse, our polity. Senator Blair is joined today in the East Wing, the East Gallery, by his wife Andrea and his daughter Sarah, no stranger to anyone in this legislature herself, his son Philip, Philip's wife Christy, and their son, Senator Blair's grandson, Caden, the apple of the eye of the senior senator from the 15th. Madam President, for all the foregoing reasons, I'll say again, it is my great privilege and honor to stand before this esteemed body today and place in nomination for the office of President of the West Virginia Senate the name of the senior senator from the 15th Senatorial District, Berkeley County, my friend and colleague, Senator Craig Blair.
Is there a second to the nomination? The senior senator from the 4th is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise and second the gentleman from Morgan's motion. We are blessed in this Senate to have an abundance of leadership skill. So there's not a bad decision to be made among those most suited, but Senator Craig Blair is certainly the best among those. Senate President, as many of us know, is more than a full-time position. Anyone who has served just a little bit of time as senator knows that it's an around-the-year job, it's dawn to dusk, it's on call all the time. And we require, in order to serve our constituents the way that they deserve to be served, a leader who is always there when we are there doing that work, around the clock. Senator Blair, among many of the things that I've got to witness in my tenure here so far, is that commitment to putting the work of the state and the work of this body above just about anything else you'll see. It's that level of devotion that we need and we would always want from a leader here in this body. Senator Blair has consistently demonstrated his willingness to prioritize his time, energy, and service well before I ever was in this seat and was able to witness his service in the previous terms that he's had. Last year, I was honored to serve as Vice Chairman in Senate Finance. And I witnessed firsthand the toughness and determination and the devotion to this service as he pushed through severe pain and fatigue to be present while we worked through our session. He was working through a pelvic fracture and hip fracture that was terribly acute that happened immediately before this session. Being a physical therapist, I've got to treat a lot of people that way in that type of rehabilitation and in that level of pain. And in all my 20-some years of being a physical therapist, I have never seen anybody who could push through that level of pain and work. So it was incredibly impressive. Beyond that, he's also recently even sold his business so that he can devote more concentration to the work for the people of West Virginia through this Senate body, through a joint effort with this body. In addition to that level of devotion, Senator Blair brings the wisdom from multiple terms of service in both the House and the Senate, in both the minority and the majority. He's chaired and vice-chaired multiple major committees, so he has a perspective that helps him relate to so many of us when we're considering a strategy to bring our ideas to actions that move West Virginia forward. For his devotion and that work ethic, toughness, and that breadth of experience as a statesman that just sets above the rest in this body, I encourage each of you to join me in casting your vote for Senator Blair for President of the West Virginia Senate.
Are there further nominations? The senator from Greenbrier is recognized.
Thank you very much. In the spirit of bipartisanship and of working together for the good of the state of West Virginia, I move that nominations for the office of president be closed, and therefore that the senior senator from the 15th be elected president of the Senate by acclamation. Thank you.
The question is on the adoption of the motion by the senator from Greenbrier that nominations for the office of president be closed, and that the senior senator from the 15th be elected president of the Senate by acclamation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. Having received all votes by acclamation, The senior senator of the 15th has been unanimously elected President of the Senate. I hereby appoint the senator from Morgan, the senior senator from the 4th, and the senator from Greenbrier to escort the President-elect to the front of the chamber. The Honorable Evan H. Jenkins, Chief Justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, will administer the oath of office to the President-elect.
Mr. President, congratulations. I have valued and appreciated your friendship, and this is a significant day for the people of West Virginia. In front of your colleagues and your family, are you prepared to take the oath of office to be the President of the West Virginia Senate?
Yes, I am.
If you would please repeat after me and raise your right hand. I, Craig P. Blair,
I, Craig P. Blair,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of President
the duties of President
of the West Virginia Senate
of the West Virginia Senate
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate President, Craig Blair.
Thank you, Senators, for your vote of confidence today. We got a path before us, but we're going to change the state of West Virginia. But before I get to that point, I want to do a few more thank yous. First of all, I want to thank all my friends, and that, again, is thanking the senators and the staff. Some that are up in the gallery, some that are in the back. Life's not worth living without friends. Felt like a little bit like a funeral here with it, because I missed the humor. I figured I was going to get worked a little bit here, but it was too orthodox, so to speak, and so I'll give you a little bit of humor before this is over and done with. This is an honor and a privilege to be able to serve as your Senate President, both the majority and the minority, which I have been both. I know what it feels like to be outnumbered. I know what it feels like to be in the majority. But what I know more than anything is what it feels like to be a West Virginian. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to make the lives of West Virginians better. And we can do that together, along with the House of Delegates and the executive. And by the way, it's been mentioned by the junior senator from the 15th about being in the House. I proudly wear my House pin. There's many members in here right now that served in the House. We will work together with the House of Delegates, along with the executive, to make this state the best state that it possibly can be. No idea will be off the table. But two of them that are most important this year is making sure that we have broadband, fiber broadband, hanging on the poles throughout the state to every West Virginian that we possibly can get it to. And we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. Personal income tax reduction and elimination will help us in a goal of bringing over the next 10 years over 400,000 people moving to the state of West Virginia. And we can do that as well. I'm from the Far East, the Eastern Panhandle. We have growth there. And it's because of our proximity to Baltimore, Washington, the East Coast. But that's not the only reason. We've been changing how we do business in the state of West Virginia the last 6 years, but further back than that. The tide has changed and it's coming in for West Virginia. The average worker in West Virginia now makes over $5,000 more a year. It's like $5,200, and I think it was 19, than what they were 6 short years ago. This is how you get people to move back to West Virginia. And that was with minimal inflation. This is how we keep our best and brightest living in this state. And we've done that together. Now's the time to press down on the accelerator. Speed up the opportunities of change for the state of West Virginia. And I can't stress this enough. And we will do this together. Members of finance that served as I was the finance chairman up there knew that I kept a board up there of all the bills that was running. And you never once were able to walk into that room and see whether I had who the bill sponsors were. I didn't care. If it's a good idea for the people of West Virginia and it can make their lives better, we're going to do it. I have every intention as your Senate President to travel that same course, because we're in this together to fix it for the state. I want to take a few seconds and recognize my family, because without them, I wouldn't have this opportunity to be here. First of all, my wife for putting up with me, tolerating my absence, which will be even more now. My son and daughter are both two incredible individuals in spite of me. In spite of me. And there's not a man that could be ever more proud of their children. And to be quite honest, I've been blessed. I used to say I was lucky, and somebody said, no, you're blessed. They were right. I've been blessed by both of my children. My son had wisdom enough to marry a woman from Buchanan. And she's been one of the delights of my life as well. And what those two have provided me, though, is something that I never dreamed I'd live to see. And that's a grandson. A grandson that knows how to excel. He knows how to win gracefully. But we play cards and games and do stuff together all the time. He's demonstrated something to me that many do not. He knows how to lose as well. And that's one of the things in life that we need to learn better. It's not about winning. It's how you play the game. And then if you lose, knowing how to do it gracefully. Caden, you are a demonstration of what all men should be. Thank you. I couldn't be prouder. I want to talk a little bit about myself. I've been a farmer. No, wait, I want to back up. Sometimes people don't realize how people have effects on their lives. We're really not allowed in the Senate to have props. But today, since I'm the Senate President, where's Lee at? I'm using props for a minute. The first one is that this was my grandfather. And he ran for the Senate as a Republican in the 15th Senatorial District. We used to have thousands of these, but on the farm that we worked on, they make great gasket material. So we went through all of these, and a Democrat friend I graduated from high school gave me one of these. I'm so proud of this. Another one that I'm very proud of was in 7th grade. Arch Moore sent me this, and it goes, "Best wishes to Craig Blair from his friend Arch A. Moore, Governor." This is 1972. It's in gold ink, by the way. Senator from Kanawha's got one that's very similar to this. But where's Marilyn at? Marilyn Parsons, who's the executive assistant to the president now, was in that office when he took gold foil and wrote on it. I did not know that that's how the gold ink was applied there until I joined the House of Delegates in 2003, and I was talking about this, and Marilyn was actually in that office. And I need to take a few seconds for Marilyn as well, who I consider family. Thank you for being here for the Senate, not just for me, but for the Senate. You are an absolute godsend to the state of West Virginia. I started talking about my work as a farmer. Somebody said to me the other day that your biography has a thing that I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was so proud of earning the White Glove Award, and all the old timers might remember White Glove Award was a big deal for Kentucky Fried Chicken. I still have this and think about it, and it's an absolute honor to have been there. The colonel passed away before he got, because he would come to every store that earned this. Notice I used the word earned. We had to work hard for this. It taught me something, and that is work hard, achieve your goals, and never quit. Went on I grew up on a farm, apples and peaches. Learned many things. Went to school to be an electrician. Went to school for many other things as well in the evening to learn how to do welding, electronics. There's even more, refrigeration. Ammonia refrigeration is where, when I left the farm and did that, and I was a refrigeration engineer, we could fill this room up about every 2 days with ice. And I manufactured ice. And then I started my own business part-time. That's where the name Sunset Water came from. When the sun went down, I started working for myself. And it grew into a full-time business. and I've become a water treatment specialist, which I had to do all kinds of education to be able to do that. And the reason I'm drawing the point on this education level, because it's been brought to my attention by a certain, I'm not going to call him a reporter, but was making a big deal out of the fact that this will be your first Senate president in 106 years, I think it was, that doesn't have a college education. Let me tell you what, that type of logic hurts the people of West Virginia. What helps the people of West Virginia is making sure that all our people have the ability to have skills. And you don't have to be loved for what you do. What you have to do is do what you do so well that people love you for it. That's the most important thing. And I've tried to live my life like that. And I've been lucky. But I've also been lucky to be surrounded by friends like yourself and friends like in the gallery and friends that are back home and throughout this state. And that's the beauty of being a West Virginian, because when you walk down the sidewalk, West Virginians look at each other and they'll say, "Good morning. How are you doing?" You have a flat tire along the side of the road, people will stop and help. This is how we're going to bring 400,000 people back to the state of West Virginia with job opportunities. We can get it done without doing tax increases. I also want to say thank you to my predecessors. Former Senate President Bill Cole, former Senate President Mitch Carmichael, and we got former Finance Chairman Mike Hall back there as well. You guys have set the path forward, along with Senator Tomlin, for that matter, who took our pensions, and whenever we travel throughout the state or country, people come up to us and say, "The people, you guys in West Virginia have got your pensions under control. What did you do? How did you do it?" That path was set long before we became the majority. And we're building off that foundation. This body, this Senate body, will continue to build at an accelerated rate of providing the best educational and job opportunities and entertainment opportunities that this state has ever witnessed. And there's nothing that's going to stop us unless we stop ourselves. We're going to be prepared. We're going to be proactive. We're going to work with the House, and we're going to work with the governor. And we're going to get this job done for the people of West Virginia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate this honor and privilege to be your Senate President. Let's get to work. Yeah, I'm good. Recognize the senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the remarks by the President be ordered extended to the Journal.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered. Next order of business is being the election of the clerk. The floor is now open to nominations. The senior senator from the 17th is recognized for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor to nominate Lee Kassis to the position of Clerk of the West Virginia State Senate. For those of us that have been here, we know that he has performed brilliantly. He is professional in every aspect of the word. He's admired and respected amongst the staff here. When you talk about Lee, I have never heard a single complaint or adverse word. Those, either the staff or the lobbyist or general public or anyone that comes in. So it is absolutely without hesitation that I would nominate him. And not only for that, but then one of the things we've always taught the residents when they're having to learn to respond to cardiac arrest situations, etc., it's not always important to feel calm, cool, and collected, but you certainly need to show and make other people look or think that you're calm, cool, and collected. And so that voice that he has when the Senate can be in a scuffle sometimes, it always keeps us looking calm, cool, and collected. And for those reasons, I nominate Lee Kassis for the position of Clerk of the Senate.
Is there a second to the nomination? I recognize the senator from Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's indeed my honor to second the nomination for Lee Kassis as the Senate Clerk. When he graduated from WVU in 2002, he began a very long career here in the legislature, working initially in the Legislative Auditor's Office. He started in the Senate Clerk's office in 2006 under the tutelage of then Clerk Darrell Holmes. He's worked with Senator and former Clerk Joe Menard and Senator and former Clerk Clark Barnes. He was appointed this Assistant Clerk in 2011 and elected Clerk by this body in 2018. He is a principal member of the American Society of Clerks and Secretaries. We know his very availability is fantastic. He has never not responded to anything that we've asked him to. He will make it happen. He gets it done. He works great with his staff, and the staff is great. He does have that smooth, deep voice that we all can hear as clear as possible, given the technological challenges sometimes we have in this chamber. Again, it's with great enthusiasm that I second his nomination. He not only represents the Senate well in the chamber, but outside the chamber.
Are there further nominations? Seeing none, there be no other nominations from the office of clerk. The senator from Greenbrier is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that nominations for Senate Clerk be closed and that you as President be authorized to cast the unanimous vote of the Senate for the re-election of a proud son of Fayette County, Mr. Kassis.
The question is on the adoption of the motion by the senator from Greenbrier. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and I declare the motion adopted, and the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
I vote aye. Mr. Kassis, having received all the votes cast, has been unanimously re-elected Clerk of the Senate. The Honorable Evan H. Jenkins, Chief Justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, will administer the oath of office to the clerk-elect.
Congratulations. Thank you. If you'd please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Bruce Lee Kassis, Jr.
I, Bruce Lee Kassis, Jr.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
And the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of Clerk of the West Virginia State Senate
of Clerk of the West Virginia State Senate
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Mr. Clerk, congratulations.
Thank you.
Next order of business being the election of the Sergeant of Arms. The floor is now open to nominations, and the junior senator from the 17th is recognized for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to nominate Joseph A. Friedman as our Sergeant-at-Arms here in the Senate, although I do so reluctantly as a lifelong New York Jets fan. To nominate a member of the Bills Mafia to be the Sergeant-at-Arms of this body pains me. For years we've had a sister in the basement of the AFC East, but that is not the case this year, and we've watched jealously as they've succeeded. Mr. Friedman, after a long career in finance, a long successful career in finance, by all accounts has become a below-average golfer and has gone on to, not many people can say that they've gone on to have a second career in what they've dreamed of since they were a young child. Now here he is as the Sergeant-at-Arms of the West Virginia State Senate. In all seriousness, Mr. Friedman and his staff are the unsung heroes, I believe, of this body and what they do for us. Making sure that we have everything at our desks, making sure that everything is in place. They're in the chamber well before we think about coming into the chamber every morning. And they make sure that everything is prepared and in its proper place, and he's the head of that effort. And so we are very grateful and in his debt and in the debt of his staff for what they do. And so I rise in good conscience, knowing that we are in the hands of Mr. Friedman and his staff, and I look forward to serving with him and alongside him for the next several years. So, again, Mr. President, it is my privilege to nominate Mr. Friedman as the Sergeant-at-Arms of the West Virginia State Senate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second for the nomination? I recognize the senator from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor to second the nomination for Mr. Friedman to serve as our Sergeant-at-Arms.
Are there further nominations? There being no other nominations for the office of Sergeant-at-Arms, the senator from Greenbrier is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that nominations for Sergeant-at-Arms be closed and the President be authorized to cast the unanimous vote of the Senate for the election of Mr. Friedman.
The question is on the adoption of the motion from the senator from Greenbrier. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the motion adopted. That's going to be a hard habit to break. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
I vote yea. Mr. Friedman, having received all the votes cast, has been unanimously reelected as Sergeant-at-Arms of the Senate. The Honorable Evan H. Jenkins, Chief Justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, will administer the oath of office to the Sergeant-at-Arms-elect.
Congratulations. Thank you. If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Allen Friedman,
I, Joseph Allen Friedman,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant-at-Arms of the West Virginia Senate according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
So help me God.
Mr. Sergeant-at-Arms, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor today to nominate Mr. Jeffrey Branham for the position of head doorkeeper. I talked to Jeff before the session, and this is his 6th year that he has been the doorkeeper, and I think personally that he's done an excellent job. He is a dependable and essential part of the Senate. He has a great attitude and is willing to go above and beyond to help our senators and the general public. On a personal note, I would just like to say that back in 2019, when I was having a little medical problem, Jeff was there from probably all the month of February and till we adjourned in March to help me in and out of the Capitol. In all kinds of weather, he would meet me at my parking spot, and with the necessary wheelchair to get me in, take me to my office and bring me to the chamber. And wherever I needed him, he was always there. And in nominating him, I'd just like to compliment also the rest of the doorkeepers. They're here to help us. They go out of their way to help us. And it's my privilege and honor to nominate Mr. Jeffrey Branham as head doorkeeper. Thank you.
Is there a second to the nomination? I recognize the junior senator from the 8th.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. It is my honor to second the nomination of Mr. Jeffrey Branham. And just to follow up on what the statement made by the senator from Pleasance, we are truly lucky and blessed to have not just the doorkeepers that we have working here, but the staff, the attorneys, everyone. And I just want to make that point. You know, I don't know about you, but when I get up in the morning, I turn on ESPN, I grab a cup of coffee, I grab a daily scripture reading, and then I go to social media to find the quotes that Mr. Branham shares with all of us that are quotes of inspiration, wisdom, and humor. And I think we could all take more of that in social media. So any of you who aren't friends of him on social media, please do so. But no, in all honesty, Mr. Branham I've known for 2 years. He's a God-fearing man, he's a family man, and he's a fine man. And as I stated earlier, we are blessed to have his continued service on our behalf and on behalf of the state of West Virginia. Thank you.
Are there further nominations? There being no other nominations for the office of doorkeeper, the senator from Greenbrier is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that nominations for doorkeeper be closed and the U.S. President be authorized to cast the unanimous vote of the Senate for the re-election of Mr. Branham.
The question is on the adoption of the motion from the senator from Greenbrier. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the motion adopted. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Aye. Having received all the votes cast, has been unanimously re-elected as doorkeeper of the Senate. The Honorable Evan H. Jenkins, Chief Justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, will administer the oath of office to the doorkeeper-elect.
Congratulations. Thank you. If you'd please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeffrey L. Branham,
I, Jeffrey L. Branham,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of doorkeeper of the West Virginia Senate
of doorkeeper of the West Virginia Senate
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Mr. Doorkeeper, congratulations.
Thank you.
The clerk has a resolution.
Senate Resolution 1 by Senator Takubo adopting the rules of the Senate.
The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 1, adopting the rules of the Senate.
The question is on the adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? I recognize the senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. There will be no rules changes going into this next session.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question is on adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess for 5 minutes for the purpose of making the introductions.
The question is on the adoption of the motion by the senior senator from the 17th that the Senate stand in recess for 5 minutes. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the motion adopted, and the Senate is in recess. Okay. Well, are there further introductions? I recognize the senator from Jackson for an introduction. Mason, excuse me, oh, forgive me. Senator from Mason.
I do represent Jackson also, but I am from Mason County. Yes. Okay. So I just want to start off by saying I'm really happy to be here. So everybody that I haven't been able to meet yet, I'm Amy Grady. I am here today with my husband is up in the gallery. He's a man who likes to stay back against the wall. He doesn't like to be amongst the crowd. So this is actually his birthday. So I just want to say happy birthday to him. And you know, that's all I wanted to say. But anyway, I look forward to doing this. I'm excited about this adventure. And I look forward to working with everybody. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there further introductions? The senator from Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the East Gallery, I'd like to recognize my lovely wife, Deborah, and my son, Jackson, who have accompanied me here today.
Junior senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senior senator now. So, you know, it's always special when our spouses come to see us here at work for the state, and my lovely wife came today, Natalie. And so, Natalie, I just wanted to introduce everybody to you, and please make her welcome.
Junior senator from the 17th, I hope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am just pleased to announce we have a very dedicated individual in the rear of the gallery, the doc of the day, Dr. Philip Galifon. He stayed with us and is helping us out today. If the Senate would just give him a warm welcome.
Are there further introductions? Senator from Brooke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to take a second to formally recognize that we do have in the gallery today two former presidents of this body, former Senate President Bill Cole and former Senate President Mitch Carmichael. If they could please feel welcome in this body.
Further introductions. Senator from Upshur.
Randolph. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to introduce my daughter, Emma, who is up in the gallery, and she's the fourth for us of our 8 children that are have headed off to college or will head off to college. So this time next year she'll be off at Houghton College up in upstate New York, and we're very proud of her, and I'm glad that she was able to come down with me today. If the Senate could make her welcome.
The Senate will come to order. The clerk has another resolution.
Senate Resolution 2 by Senator Takubo, raising a committee to notify the House of Delegates the Senate has assembled and completed its organization.
The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its passage.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 2, raising a committee to notify the House of Delegates the Senate has assembled and completed its organization.
The question is on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The chair appoints the senator from Lewis, the junior senator from the 17th, and the senator from Marion to notify the House that the Senate has organized. The clerk has another resolution.
Senate Resolution 3 by Senator Takubo, raising a committee to inform the governor that the legislature is organized.
Senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? The chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 3, raising a committee to inform the governor that the legislature is organized.
The question is on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The chair appoints the senator from Logan, the senator from Mason, and the senator from Cabell to notify the governor the legislature has organized. The clerk will report the next resolution.
Senate Resolution 4 by Senator Tarr, relating to the mailing of bills and journals.
I recognize the senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its passage.
Is there objection? Clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 4, relating to the mailing of bills and journals.
Question is on adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted, and the clerk will report the next resolution.
Senate Resolution 5 by Senator Tarr, authorizing the appointment of permanent and per diem employees for the first regular session of the 85th Legislature and payment of their compensation.
Senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its passage.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 5, authorizing the appointment of permanent and per diem employees for the first regular session of the 85th Legislature and payment of their compensation.
Is there discussion? Question is on adoption of the resolution of the senior senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an annual resolution which is proposed on the first day of each legislative session. What this resolution does is authorize the appointment and payment of permanent and per diem employees for the Senate. Mr. President, I urge passage.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question is on adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The clerk will report the next resolution.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 1 by Senators Blair, Mr. President, Takubo, and Baldwin, adopting joint rules of the Senate and House of Delegates.
Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its passage.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are no changes to joint rules.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question is on adoption of the rule. Adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House. The clerk will report the next resolution.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 by Senators Blair, Mr. President, Tarr, and Baldwin, relating to the payment of bills for supplies, services, and printing, and authorized contingent and other expenses of the 85th Legislature.
Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and placed upon its passage.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 relating to the payment of bills for supplies, services, and printing, and authorized contingent and other expenses of the 85th Legislature.
The question is on adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House. The Senate will be at ease. Clerk has a message from the House.
The Clerk of the House announced the adoption by that body of House Concurrent Resolution 1, raising a joint assembly to open and publish election returns.
The Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? The chair hears none. The question is on adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House, and the clerk will report the next House message.
The Clerk of the House announced the adoption by that body of House Concurrent Resolution 2, providing for an adjournment of the legislature until February 10th, 2021.
Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the message be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Question is on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and I declare the resolution adopted. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pending announcements, I move the Senate stand in recess until 5 minutes following the conclusion of the joint assembly.
Is it 1:45?
This is the day fixed by the Constitution of the state of West Virginia for the assembly of the first regular session of the 85th Legislature. The Constitution provides that the oldest delegate in point of continuous service present at the assembly of the legislature, at which officers thereof are to be selected, preside until the speaker thereof shall have been chosen and taken his seat. The gentleman from the 8th District, the Honorable Bill Anderson, is the oldest member present in point of continuous service. Therefore, in compliance with the Constitution, Delegate Anderson will preside until a speaker is chosen.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please rise while we are led in prayer by Delegate-elect Pinson from the 13th District.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we pray, I've been asked to recognize a moment of silence for Assistant Doorkeeper Bob Keys. Assistant Doorkeeper Bob Keys went home to be with the Lord Friday, December 18, 2020. According to his family, he was a devoted Christian who had two great loves in his life: his family and his relationship with Christ. He had a passion for preaching and teaching and telling others about Jesus. Bob enjoyed being with his grandchildren, playing golf, and was an avid mountaineer fan. He is survived by his wife of 48 years, Barbara Keys, as well as his children and grandchildren. May the House observe a moment of silence for Assistant Doorkeeper Bob Keys. May we pray together. Heavenly Father, it sure is a privilege to stand before you today on this floor. Lord, I bow my head today just to say thank you. Thank you for the privilege to be here. Thank you for the privilege to be among these colleagues. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege to live in this great state, this great nation. Father, I ask today that you would help us over the coming weeks and months. Father, I pray that you would help us to make decisions that would impact our state and our communities. Lord, I pray that you would help us to, along the way, remember how you've blessed the United States of America. Lord, I believe with all my heart that this is one nation under God. So, Father, I pray that you would help us to have wisdom, discernment. Father, I pray for protection as we travel up and down the highways. Lord, I pray that you would protect every member, every staff member. And Lord, again, we thank you for this great privilege. Lord, we ask all this, I ask all this, in the name of my Lord and my Savior. It's in the name of Christ I pray, and amen.
Please remain standing while the House is led in recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance by the gentleman from the 14th District, Delegate-elect Walmsley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The House will now receive a communication from the Secretary of State. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, Minority Leader, members of the House, I appear before you today to present a certified copy of the official results of the November 3rd general election. The individuals listed herein have been duly elected for a 2-year term to serve in the 85th session of the West Virginia Legislature. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is my constitutional responsibility and honor to present these certified election results to the Clerk of the House. Thank you.
Without objection, the returns of the election of delegates as presented by the Secretary of State will be accepted and filed with the clerk. The delegates appearing to have been elected will be administered the oath of office at the appropriate time. The clerk has a letter of resignation.
January 9th, 2021. Dear Governor Justice, I hereby resign as a member of the West Virginia House of Delegates effective immediately. Sincerely, Delegate Derek Evans, 19th District.
The letter will be received and filed with the clerk's office. The clerk will now call the roll to determine if a quorum is present. Please answer when your name is called.
Mr. Anderson.
Present.
Mr. Barrick. Mr. Barnhart. Mr. Barrett. Mr. Bates. Mr. Boggs. Mr. Bridges. Mr. Brown. Mr. Bruce. Mr. Burkhammer. Mr. Capito. Mr. Clark. Mr. Conley. Mr. Cooper. Mr. Chris. Mr. Dean. Mr. DeSario. Mr. Doyle. Mr. Ellington. Mr. Espinosa. Mr. Evans. Mr. Fast. Mr. Farrell. Ms. Fleschauer. Mr. Fluharty. Mr. Forsch. Mr. Foster. Mr. Foster. Mr. Garcia. Mr. Gearhart. Ms. Graves. Mr. Griffith. Mr. Hamrick. Mr. Hanna. Mr. Hanson. Mr. Hanshaw. Mr. Hardy. Mr. Haynes. Mr. Higginbotham. Mr. Holstein. Mr. Hornbuckle. Mr. Hurst. Mr. Hott. Mr. Householder. Mr. Howell. Mr. Dean Jeffries. Mr. Joe Jeffries. Mr. Jennings. Mr. Keaton. Mr. David Kelly. Mr. John Kelly. Ms. Kessinger. Ms. Kimball. Mr. Kimes. Mr. Linville. Mr. Longenacre. Mr. Lovejoy. Mr. Mello. Mr. Mant. Mr. Martin. Mr. Maynard. Ms. Mazzocchi. Mr. McGeehan. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller. Oh, okay. Sorry. Mr. Nestor. Mr. Jeff Pack. Mr. Larry Pack. Mr. Painter. Mr. Pethel. Mr. Phillips. Mr. Pinson. Mr. Pritt. Mr. Pushkin. Mr. Queen. Mr. Reed. Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Riley. Mr. Rohrbach. Ms. Rowan. Mr. Rowe. Mr. Scaff. Mr. Smith. Mr. Statler. Mr. Steele. Ms. Storch. Ms. Summers. Ms. Sapholt. Mr. Thompson. Mr. Tony. Ms. Tully. Ms. Walker. Mr. Walmsley. Mr. Brian Ward. Mr. Guy Ward. Mr. Westfall. Mr. Williams. Mr. Worrell. Ms. Young. Mr. Zeteslo. Ms. Zukoff. Mr. Foster.
Yes, he did.
Quorum is present.
Yeah, 98, and yeah, quorum is present.
A quorum is present. At this time, the oath of office will be administered by the Honorable Tim Armstead, Justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals. Members will sign their oaths of office, which you will find on your desk, and they will be collected by a member of the staff. Justice Armstead.
All right, hopefully you can hear me now. Okay. I congratulate you on your election and wish you the best as you begin the 2021 session. If there's anything that I or my colleagues on the court can do to assist you, we certainly are willing to do so and happy to do so. If you will please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Blayerton,
do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
And the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
And faithfully discharge the duties of delegate.
Faithfully discharge the duties of delegate.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my abilities.
I will not accept or receive.
I will not accept or receive.
Directly or indirectly.
Directly or indirectly.
Any money or other valuable thing.
Any money or other valuable things.
From any corporation, company, or person.
Any corporation, company, or person.
For any vote or influence.
For any vote or influence.
I may give or withhold as delegate.
I may give or withhold as a delegate.
On any bill. Resolution or appropriation.
Resolution or appropriation.
Or for any act I may do or perform as delegate.
Or any act I may perform as delegate.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Just remind them once again to sign their oath and pass it to them.
I would remind members to please sign your oath. The next order of business, pending the organization of the House, is the election of the Speaker. The Chair recognizes the gentlelady from the 32nd District, Delegate Kessinger, for the purpose of making a nomination. Delegate Kessinger.
I'm the oldest of 6, so generally I can speak pretty loudly, but so to make sure everybody can hear me today, I'll go ahead and use the mic. But first of all, I would like to just congratulate each and every one of you on your successful elections. You've been able to convince enough people in your district to place their trust in you for the next 2 years, and I want to take this opportunity to remind you that your most important title is not that of delegate or honorable so-and-so or minority leader, speaker, or assistant majority leader, or whatever. It's that of servant, and that our first priority should be to be public servants to the people that we represent. So 6 years ago, I was sitting in this chamber as a newly elected freshman delegate. I was a 21-year-old college student who was starting my first foray into politics, and I was excited, anxious, and nervous all at the same time, much like many of you are today. And one of the first people I met in my freshman class was Roger Henshaw. It didn't take me long to see exactly what kind of man Roger was, as I've watched Roger serve in every capacity, from newly elected delegate to caucus chair to vice chair of judiciary, and most recently as Speaker of the House. I have witnessed a man who has not allowed the promotions he's received to change his character and to change who he is. He isn't driven by pursuit of power or a desire for authority, but by commitment to make West Virginia better. The same qualities Roger possessed 6 years ago are the same qualities he possesses today. The first thing that stood out to me about the Speaker is more than likely the first thing that stood out to you: his intelligence. Speaker Henshaw is a man that determines diligence, that demonstrates diligence in his pursuit of truth. He doesn't waste time on finding right solutions to the wrong questions. He understands that in order to truly bring change to the state of West Virginia and to restore West Virginia to what we all believe, we have to ask the right questions and find the right solutions to the right problems. He never stops learning and never stops listening. He refuses to dawdle by majoring in the minors. And I've been in countless rooms where it is very obvious that he is by far the smartest person in the room, but not one time in the years that I've known him has he made anyone feel as if they had nothing to contribute. Which leads me to my next point. Roger leads with humility. He doesn't speak down to people when our caucus and when this body is faced with a difficult problem, and Lord knows that's almost daily, especially here recently. He doesn't isolate and issue an edict from on high, but he pulls people around him who have different ideas, different opinions, come from different walks of life, and he takes those into consideration when making his decisions. I once heard that someone say that the best leaders are those who are committed to being the dumbest person in the room. For sure, for Roger, that is a very difficult task, but I have never experienced leadership like Speaker Henshaw's, in that he actively pursues the input of those who trust in his leadership. One of the most important qualities that any leader can possess is that of integrity. Roger's character is not only that of a good leader, but of a truly good man. He's the same person inside this building that he is outside of this building, and he isn't consumed by ambition, but understands that true leadership is actually servanthood. He's committed to a life of service, serving the people of his district as their delegate and the people of this body as our speaker, and does so with the utmost excellence. Scripture tells us that without vision, the people perish. And if Roger is nothing else, he is a man of vision. From day one, Roger's vision has been to make West Virginia a better place to live, work, and raise our families. And I'm convinced that each morning he wakes up and asks himself how he can accomplish that goal. If you spend even just a moment speaking to him, you understand that his purpose behind running for speaker is not that of building his own empire or even to make a name for himself, but is exactly what it should be: to restore life to the place we all call home. Like all of us, the Speaker loves this state. He's committed to doing whatever it takes to make West Virginia a place that his 2 little girls are proud to call home. He's a man that could go anywhere in the world and do literally anything he wanted, and yet he consciously chooses to call West Virginia home and to serve the people of this state, and to do everything he possibly can to help the Mountain State reach our full potential. I am incredibly thankful to serve as a member of this body, and I'm even more thankful that we have a leader who we can follow and confidently place our trust in. It is for these reasons and countless more that I am honored to nominate Roger Henshaw to continue serving as the Speaker of the West Virginia House of Delegates.
Thank you, Delegate Kessinger. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from the 28th District, Delegate Pack, for the purpose of seconding the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, friends. My very first term in the House of Delegates, I was seated in the second row of the majority side. The vice chair of the Committee of the Judiciary sat directly to my right. That's when I first met Roger Hanshaw. I recognized very quickly what an exceptionally talented, smart, and special individual he is. Roger and I became close friends over that session, and I learned firsthand not only of his leadership ability, but of his ability to break the most complex issues down into ideas the rest of us can understand. He also took the time to mentor me and never hesitated to answer all of my mundane parliamentary questions. You know, our tenure in the legislature will encounter thousands and thousands of people. Roger once told me that of the myriad of folks you encounter during your service in this body, consider yourself lucky if you're able to become close friends with just 2 or 3 of those people. Well, for me, Roger Hanshaw is one of those people, and I'm proud to call him my very dear friend. When Speaker Armstead announced that he would not be seeking re-election, Roger Hanshaw was my first and only choice to serve as Speaker of the House. He was my only choice then, as he's my only choice now. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is my honor to second the nomination of Roger Hanshaw to remain the 53rd Speaker of the West Virginia House of Delegates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Delegate Pack. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from the 34th District, Delegate Boggs, for the purpose of making a nomination.
Good morning, delegates, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, my dear friend from Wood County, and to my dear friend, the gentleman from Clay, and to the distinguished friends and colleagues here in the House of Delegates, returning and new. We assemble here today in our beautiful and historic capital to comply with the West Virginia Constitution in selecting our new leader for the upcoming legislative session. It's my distinct pleasure to nominate the gentleman from the 35th District, Delegate Doug Scaff, for the office of Speaker of the House of Delegates for the 85th West Virginia Legislature. Delegates, we have a historic challenge facing the citizens we represent and a responsibility more than ever before to work in a bipartisan manner. Words like consensus and compromise need to become part of our legislative vocabulary again, for they are not words of weakness but the hallmark of statesmanship and leadership. If we've ever learned any lessons in the past week, this very tenet should be at the forefront of our thoughts and deeds. Doug is a leader that will listen to all sides, empathy and compassion for those hurting and disenfranchised, bringing industry, business, and labor together, representing all viewpoints to forge legislative initiatives by consensus in a bipartisan manner and the lasting benefit of all of our citizens. Doug Scaff has spent his legislative and professional career working diligently and effectively to find a consensus on legislation and to help solve problems that face our citizens across the many regions of our state. He is a successful businessman that cares deeply for the ever-worsening plight of our small businesses, exacerbated by the ravages of the pandemic. His work ethic is unquestioned. His generosity and willingness to support initiatives that affect seniors, children, and women is notable, and his devotion to our teachers, school personnel, and higher education has been the hallmark of his legislative career. Most important to me, Doug is a devoted husband and father of 3 boys. Faith, family, and a deep abiding love for West Virginia drives him to make our state a better place, a welcoming place, a healthy place, a prosperous place for businesses to flourish and jobs and opportunities for working families to live and prosper. Delegates, in my quarter century of legislative service, I've had the honor to hold several leadership positions. And in that time, I've observed hundreds of members, good and dedicated members of our citizens' legislature, come and go from both sides of the aisle. Doug Scaff placed his name in contention for Speaker of the House, not for title or personal gain, but to strive to bring out the very best in every member of the House, regardless of political party or ideology, using the talents of each member in a manner that will benefit West Virginia and West Virginians. Delegates, I respectfully urge you to give every consideration in supporting our colleague, Delegate Doug Scaff, for Speaker of the House of Delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Boggs. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from the 4th District, Delegate Zukoff, for the purpose of seconding the nomination.
Thank you. And good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone, especially all the newly elected representatives. I know what it's like to be in your seat. This is only my 2nd term, so welcome to everyone. You've taken on an awesome responsibility to serve the district that you represent, and that you'll be open. I hope that everybody will be open to all of those folks, and I know that you will. This is a big day in your life. Congratulations. I'm here to second the nomination of Doug Scaff for Majority Leader in West Virginia. And I am really pleased to have served with Doug. Doug is one of those people, when I came in, you're always looking for someone to help you answer some questions, know what to do and where to go, and he kind of took me under his wing when he came in, and I was always very appreciative of that. I've seen Doug also work in cooperation with other folks to come up with the best solutions for the issues that we've been working on. Most importantly, in my mind, he listens to other folks. He doesn't think he's always correct. He is always open to other ideas, and he's always open to making things better, be it legislation, be it the leadership in our caucus. And for those reasons, I was happy to support him for his position. Doug is also, as Delegate Boggs said, a family man. If you ever have the opportunity to meet his 3 little boys, you will wonder how he can get anything else done. He is blessed and a family man, and we're happy to have him in our caucus. And for those reasons and many others, I'm happy to second the nomination for Doug Scaff as Majority Leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Zukoff. Are there any further nominations for Speaker? If not, the chair will entertain a motion that nominations be closed. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from the 32nd, Delegate Kessinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the nominations for Speaker of the House be closed.
The gentlelady from the 32nd District moves that nominations for Speaker of the House be closed. Those in favor of the motion will signify so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it, and I declare nominations closed. The Honorable Roger Hanshaw from the 33rd District and the Honorable Doug Scaff from the 35th District have been placed in nomination. The clerk will now call the roll of the members of the House of Delegates, and they will vote for the candidate of their choice by calling his name when their names are called.
Delegate Anderson.
Delegate Hanshaw.
Delegate Barnhart. Delegate Barrick. Delegate Barrett. Delegate Bates. Delegate Boggs. Delegate Bridges. Delegate Brown. Delegate Bruce. Delegate Burkhammer. Delegate Capito. Delegate Clark. Delegate Conley. Delegate Cooper. Delegate Chris. Delegate Dean. Delegate DeSerio. Delegate Doyle. Delegate Ellington. Delegate Espinosa. Delegate Evans. Delegate Fast. Delegate Farrell. Delegate Fleischauer. Delegate Fluharty. Delegate Forst. Delegate Foster. Delegate Foster. Delegate Garcia. Delegate Gearhart. Delegate Graves. Delegate Griffith. Delegate Hamrick. Delegate Hanna. Delegate Hanson. Delegate Hanshaw. Delegate Hardy. Delegate Haynes. Delegate Higginbotham. Delegate Holstein. Delegate Hornbuckle. Delegate Hurst. Delegate Hott. Delegate Householder. Delegate Howell. Delegate Dean Jeffries. Delegate Joe Jeffries. Delegate Jennings. Delegate Keaton. Delegate David Kelly. Delegate John Kelly. Delegate Kissinger. Delegate Kimball. Delegate Kimes. Delegate Linville. Delegate Longenecker. Delegate Lovejoy. Delegate Mallow. Delegate Mant. Delegate Martin. Delegate Maynard. Delegate Mazzocchi. Delegate McGeehan. Delegate Miller. Delegate Nestor. Delegate Jeff Pack. Delegate Larry Pack. Delegate Painter. Delegate Pethel. Delegate Phillips. Delegate Pinson. Delegate Pritt. Delegate Pushkin. Delegate Queen. Delegate Reed. Delegate Reynolds. Delegate Riley. Delegate Rohrbach. Delegate Rowan. Delegate Rowe. Delegate Scaff. Delegate Smith. Delegate Statler. Delegate Steele. Delegate Storch. Delegate Summers. Delegate Seipolt. Delegate Thompson. Delegate Tony. Delegate Tully. Delegate Walker. Delegate Walmsley. Delegate Brian Ward. Delegate Guy Ward. Delegate Westfall. Delegate Williams. Delegate Worrell. Delegate Young. Delegate Zetezelo. Delegate Zukoff. Delegate Foster.
26 for Hanshaw, 22 for Scaff.
Delegate Hanshaw has received 76 votes, and the gentleman from the 35th District, Delegate Scaff, has received 22 votes. Therefore, I declare the Honorable Roger Hanshaw, having received a majority of the vote cast, has been duly elected Speaker of the House of Delegates for the 85th West Virginia Legislature. The chair appoints the gentlelady from the 32nd District, Delegate Kessinger, the gentleman from the 28th District, Delegate Pack, and the gentleman from the 35th District, Delegate Scaff, as a committee to escort the Speaker to the clerk's desk. Delegate Scaff.
I want to be the first to congratulate our next speaker for the upcoming session. Let's give him another round of applause to our next speaker, Roger Hanshaw. As tradition, I'd like to say a few remarks about our upcoming speaker. And when given the opportunity to have remarks by members, I thought I would take it one more time just to be safe. I met Roger a couple years ago, and on my first day here, I haven't met much more honorable man, a more honest man, and a more respected man than this gentleman right here. I'm honored to call him a friend. I'm honored to call him a leader. And I'm call him one of us. You know, it's an honor to be one of 100 people to serve in this House chamber, under this dome, under this beautiful dome. The campaigns are over. Let's put the rhetoric aside. It's time to come together, not as Democrats, not as Republicans, but as you know, as West Virginians, as delegates. Every day we wake up together and look in that mirror or come here ready to roll up your sleeves, work hard, put our differences aside, and do what's right to move West Virginia forward. And I know we can't forget what happened last week, and everyone says that wasn't us. Well, it was us, and it did happen in America. And it's up to us to be better leaders, better people, and better citizens, not only of West Virginia, but our country. So together, I am honored, again, to recognize our next speaker. It's time to come together as one. Let's work to make West Virginia a better place to live, work, and raise a family under Speaker Hanshaw. Thank you very much.
Justice Armstead to administer the oath of office.
Mr. Speaker, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Roger Hanshaw,
I, Roger Hanshaw,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Speaker of the House
and faithfully discharge the duties of Speaker of the House
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I will not accept or receive,
I will not accept or receive,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
from any corporation, company, or person,
for any
vote or influence
I
I may give or withhold as Speaker of the House
may give or withhold as Speaker of the House
on any bill, resolution, or appropriation, or for any act I may do or perform as Speaker of the House. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And first, congratulations to every member of this body for having earned the trust and confidence of the voters of your districts, for having earned the confidence of 1.8 million people to send each of us here again to chart a course of leadership and progress for our state. We are assembled in extraordinary times. We are called together here as a deliberative body in extraordinary circumstances. And it's appropriate that we give pause and reflect on where we are, how we got here, and what our service means. What our service means not only to each of us as friends and colleagues, but what our service means to the state of West Virginia, to each of the 18,500 men and women that we each represent, and to the future of our state, and to the future of West Virginia, because each one of us, each member of this body, represent communities, represent families, represent homes, represent jobs, represent businesses, represent churches, represent synagogues, represent communities of all like. And we have an obligation to create the best West Virginia we can create. We have an obligation to make West Virginia the single greatest place we can make it to live, work, and raise our families. You just saw my family. You just saw my wife, Kirsten, and our two little daughters, Catherine and Rebecca. I want to pause now and thank them for the support they've shown me over the last 2 years during the opportunity that this body gave me to serve as Speaker. It was certainly the highlight of my professional career 2 years ago, having been selected as Speaker of this body by this House. It's an even greater honor today, and I thank you for that. I appreciate the confidence and trust you've placed in me, but I ask today that we place that same level of trust and confidence in each other, because we are assembled in extraordinary times. The gentleman from the 34th, Delegate Boggs, and I are good friends. We represent the same area. We talk often. And today, Delegate Boggs used words like statesmanship and leadership in his comments. Today, in his comments, the minority leader, the Honorable Gentleman from the 35th, Delegate Scaff, laid out his view of our obligation as delegates, our role as leaders, our obligation to make West Virginia an easier choice, to make West Virginia an easier choice. Because make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the spotlight of the world is shining on West Virginia. For reasons we didn't necessarily choose, the spotlight of the world shines on West Virginia. We have an opportunity now to take advantage of that spotlight. We have an opportunity now to create a West Virginia that people want to choose. We can't forget the events of the last year since we've been assembled together. Our state, our country, our world has changed in ways that none of us here could have imagined in March of 2020 when last this body was assembled. We have lost friends, we have lost neighbors, we have lost businesses, we have lost jobs, and we have lost over 1,500 of our friends and family members to the coronavirus pandemic. But in the eye of that storm is opportunity. In the eye of that storm is opportunity because nationally, men and women have begun to recognize what we have known for generations in West Virginia, that ours is a state of opportunity, that ours is a land where people can come and create a business, where people who have the opportunity to work remotely, who have the opportunity to pick up their job and take it wherever they choose, can bring it here. I know that most of the shared priorities we have as 100 members of this body are all things that would make it easier to choose West Virginia. So my personal priority for this legislature is that we move forward on priorities that will collectively help us make it easier to choose West Virginia. Help make it easier for all those who are looking for a new place, a place to create a better life for their friends, their families, their businesses, to choose. We can do that. We can do that by working collectively together. Now, 2 years ago on the opening day of this legislature, the gentleman from the first, Delegate McGeehan, asked each of us to reflect on the concept of charity, asked each of us to reflect on the concept of how we relate one to another, how we as members of this body best advance the collective goals we have to make our state the best place we can make it to live, work, and raise a family, to make our state the easiest choice we can make it for people who are considering West Virginia from elsewhere, and for our own friends and family. Because for far too many generations now, our friends, our family, our neighbors, our children, our grandchildren have packed up and gone away, have packed up and moved away because the opportunity wasn't here for them. I, for one, am ready to commit this legislature to helping us put West Virginia on a path to make it easier to simply choose West Virginia. I thank you for the confidence you've placed in me today. I'll do my best not to let you down. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next business in order pending the organization of the House is the election of the clerk. Chair recognizes the gentleman at 32nd, Delegate Fast, for a nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to recognize and make a nomination for a gentleman, Stephen J. Harrison, who truly does not recognize his own strength. Stephen J. Harrison was born October 25, 1966 in Charleston, West Virginia. His parents are John and Gail Harrison, his wife, Kristen Elizabeth, children, Benjamin Trey and Maggie Joy. He's a graduate from Brown University, former vice president of Poca Valley Bank, former assistant track and field coach, West Virginia Wesleyan College, former member, Flynn Elementary Local School Improvement Council, District 1 All-Academic All-American in College Football 1989, Ivy All-Stars 1989, Epson Ivy Bowl, former chairman, Legislative Prayer Breakfast Committee, co-chairman, House Freshman Caucus, 71st Legislature. Mr. Harrison was elected to and served as delegate to the West Virginia House of Delegates from 1992 to 2000. He was elected to the West Virginia Senate, 2002. He was elected to the House Clerk position, January 2015, re-elected January 2017, again re-elected January 2019. He is the 23rd clerk of the West Virginia House of Delegates. Mr. Harrison served as delegate to the 2008 National
Republican Convention. He served as former intern, Governor's Office of the Community and Industrial Development. Mr. Harrison is a Christian. And I would like to say that Stephen J. Harrison knows his job as clerk. He is a wealth of information. He's a go-to person. He understands the rules. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to nominate Stephen J. Harrison for Clerk of the West Virginia House of Delegates, 85th Legislature. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the gentleman, the 40th, Doug Jeffries, to second the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, on behalf of Steve's wife, Kristen, I'm pleading with you to please intervene on a very serious issue. Electing Steve Harrison as clerk may very well be the only thing keeping him from a downward spiral from an illustrious college football career to selling shoes. Now, I'm not referring to a Colin Kaepernick journey that would lead to millions of dollars in selling Nike. I'm referring to an Al Bundy tragedy of selling shoes to complete strangers while reminiscing of the time he kicked 8 field goals in the Ivy Bowl. All joking aside, Steve Harrison is a great man, a man of faith, integrity, and honor. He's a standard bearer for the legislature as a whole. It is my honor to second the nomination for clerk. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Are there further nominations for the office of Clerk of the House? If not, the gentleman in 32nd, Doug Fast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that nominations be closed.
The gentleman in 32nd, are there objections to the nominations for the office of Clerk of the House being closed? Chair hears no objection. Nominations are closed. The question before the House is, shall Stephen J. Harrison be elected Clerk of the House by acclamation? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the motion adopted. Stephen J. Harrison is hereby elected Clerk of the House by acclamation.
Clerk, if you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Stephen J. Harrison,
I, Stephen J. Harrison,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Clerk of the House
and faithfully discharge the duties of Clerk of the House
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I will not accept or receive,
I will not accept or receive,
directly or indirectly, any money or other valuable thing from any corporation, company, or person, for any act I may do or perform as Clerk of the House. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Clerk.
Chair presents to clerk this half a mallet in honor of having been elected. Next business in order pending the organization of the House is the election of the Sergeant at Arms. Chair recognizes the gentleman, the 6th, Delegate Kelly, for purposes of a nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations again. I remember
when I was here 2 years ago as a freshman, and I was scared to death. I knew I was going to say something wrong. I was going to push the wrong button. To the freshmen in here, I want to say something that the speaker said to us 2 years ago. You're leaders or you wouldn't be here. So congratulations to you. Welcome to this esteemed house. But I want to remind you that it's not just us who are the leaders. There has to be formality. There has to be certain things in place. And a couple years ago, when we desperately needed rest and order restored in this house, we didn't have to look very far. Leadership only needed to look to Marshall Clay, and he returned at a time when we desperately needed him. And so I want to say to you that problem solvers are everywhere in this building. Sergeant of Arms is a problem solver. If you've got a question, that man has the answer. If he doesn't have the answer, he'll find it for you. That's the kind of man we've got working for us at the back door. That's the kind of man who came by your desk and picked up your paper, your oath of office. He doesn't ask his people to do one thing that he wouldn't do. I'm honored to call him my friend. I'm honored to see him every time I'm down here, and it is my honor, Mr. Speaker, to nominate Marshall Clay, Sergeant of Arms. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman of 21st, Doug Dean, to second the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to second the nomination of Marshall Clay for the Sergeant at Arms for the 85th Legislature. This session will bring never before seen obstacles. Marshall has the calm but assertive demeanor to guide us through these hectic times. I'd ask that everyone support this nomination of Marshall for the position of Sergeant at Arms for the 85th Legislature. Thank you.
Are there further nominations for the office of Sergeant at Arms? If not, the Chair recognizes the gentleman of 6th, Doug Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the nominations for Sergeant at Arms be closed.
The gentleman of 30 from the 6th moves that the nominations for Sergeant at Arms be closed. Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares nominations for the office of Sergeant at Arms closed. The gentleman of 6th, Doug Kelly. Is there a motion that Marshall Clay be elected by acclamation?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Marshall Clay be elected by acclamation.
The gentleman of the 6th, Doug Kelly, moves that Marshall Clay be elected Sergeant at Arms of the House by acclamation. Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The Chair declares Marshall Clay elected Sergeant at Arms by acclamation.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Marshall W. Clay,
I, Marshall W. Clay,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant at Arms
and faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant at Arms
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I will not accept or receive,
I will not accept or receive,
directly or indirectly, any money or other valuable thing from any corporation, company, or person, for any act I may do or perform as Sergeant at Arms.
for any act I should do or perform as Sergeant at Arms.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Sergeant.
The next business in order is the election of the doorkeeper. Chair recognizes the gentleman to 35th, Delegate Capito, for a nomination.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon, colleagues, and welcome to all those newly elected into this body. It is an honor to be able to sit here with you today, and I look forward to serving with each and every one of you. It's my distinct honor today to place a nomination for doorkeeper of this body, Robert W. Stewart. Robert has previously served in this role, and we thank him for his past service, and we look forward to what will be forward service from here on out. And we also thank him for his service to our country. Robert is a veteran, and so we thank him for his service to our country. He's a native Kentuckian, and I'm sure he started seeing the light in early ages from across the border, and we were lucky to bring him into West Virginia, and he really recognized the brightest light in this state, of course, which is Kanawha County, of which he is a citizen, and we are happy that he is. You know, I would say to you today that and most of those of you that are new, one of the best things that you can do, I think, in this body early on is get to know all of the doorkeepers. They look after each and every one of us. They protect this house. And oftentimes, they know more about each and every one of these bills than any of us do. So you might heed their advice and their opinion. They are our constituents. They do a wonderful job. Mr. Speaker, it's my distinct honor to place Robert W. Stewart in nomination for doorkeeper. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman to 12th, Delegate Westfall, to second the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor to second the nomination for Robert Stewart for doorkeeper. Robert was first nominated elected doorkeeper in January of 2019 as the 55th doorkeeper of the House of Delegates. As Delegate Moore said, the newbies here get to know all the doorkeepers, the sergeant at arms, the staff and everything. They're a great benefit. They do a great job, and they're great friends. So it's my honor to second the nomination of Robert Stewart as doorkeeper.
Are there further nominations for the office of doorkeeper? If not, the gentleman to 35th, Delegate Capito.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the nominations for doorkeeper be closed and that Robert W. Stewart be elected by acclamation of this House as doorkeeper.
The gentleman to 35th moves that nominations for the office of doorkeeper be closed and that Robert Stewart be elected doorkeeper by acclamation. Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it, and the chair declares Robert Stewart elected doorkeeper by acclamation.
Robert Stewart.
I, Robert Stewart.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
The Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
And faithfully discharge the duties of doorkeeper.
Faithfully discharge the duties of doorkeeper.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
I will not accept or receive.
I will not accept or receive.
Directly or indirectly.
Directly or indirectly.
Any money or other valuable thing.
Any money or any valuable thing.
From any corporation.
From any corporation.
Company or person.
Company or person.
For any act I may do or perform as doorkeeper.
For the act I may do or perform as doorkeeper.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Lady from the 49th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the Speaker be authorized to appoint a committee of 3 to notify the Senate that the House of Delegates has assembled for the first extraordinary session of the 85th Legislature, as approved by Section 19, Article 6 of the Constitution, and has organized by the election of Roger Hanshaw of Clay County as Speaker, Stephen J. Harrison of Kanawha County as Clerk, the election of other officers provided for by the law, and is ready to proceed to the business of the session.
Lady from the 49th moves that the Speaker be authorized to appoint a committee of 3 to notify the Senate that the House has organized, assembled, and is ready to proceed to the business of the session. Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the motion adopted. To that committee, the chair appoints the lady from the 38th, Doggett Graves, the gentleman from the 32nd, Doggett Gearhart, the 27th, Doggett Gearhart, pardon me, and the gentleman from the 34th, Doggett Boggs. Lady from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Speaker be authorized to appoint a committee of 3 to join with the similar committee of the Senate to inform the Governor that the session has assembled for the first extraordinary session of the 85th Legislature, as provided by Section 19, Article 6 of the Constitution, with a quorum of each House present, has organized by the election of officers of the respective Houses, and is ready to enter upon the business of the session, and will be pleased to receive any communication or message that he may desire to present.
The lady from the 49th moves that the Speaker be authorized to appoint a committee of 3 to join with a similar committee from the Senate to inform the Governor that the Legislature has assembled. Is there discussion on the motion? If not, those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed to the motion will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the motion adopted. To that committee, the chair appoints the lady from the 57th, Doggett Rowan, the gentleman from the 47th, Doggett Phillips, and the gentleman from the 17th, Doggett Lovejoy. Lady from the 49th.
There's a resolution at the clerk's desk.
Clerk will read the resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution 1, raising a joint assembly to open and publish election returns.
Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that reference of the resolution to a committee be dispensed with and that it be taken up for immediate consideration and put upon its adoption.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that committee reference for HCR 1 be dispensed with and the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration and put upon its adoption. Is there objection? The chair hears no objection. Resolution will be taken up for immediate consideration. Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to explain the resolution in lieu of having it read.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent to explain HCR 1 in lieu of having it read. Is there objection? The chair hears no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, HCR 1 simply authorizes a joint assembly to open and publish election returns at 1:30 p.m. today.
Is there discussion on the resolution? Is there discussion on the resolution? If not, the question before the House is on the adoption of the resolution. Those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the resolution adopted. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Lady from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is a resolution at the clerk's desk.
The clerk will please report the resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution 2, providing for an adjournment of the legislature until February 10th, 2021.
Lady in the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that reference of the resolution to a committee be dispensed with and that be taken up for immediate consideration and put upon its adoption.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that the committee reference for HCR 2 be dispensed with and that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration and put upon its adoption. Are there objections? The chair hears no objections. Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to explain the resolution in lieu of having it read.
Lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent to explain HCR 2 in lieu of having it read. Is there objection? The chair hears no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This resolution provides for the adjournment until February 10th, 2021.
The question is on adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? If not, then the question before the House is the adoption of the resolution. Those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it, and the chair declares the resolution adopted. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, subject to announcements, I move the House stand in recess until 1:30 p.m.
Lady from the 49th moves that subject to announcements, the House stand in recess until 1:30 p.m. Are there announcements? Are there announcements? If not, then the question is on the motion that the House stand in recess until 1:30. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the motion adopted. The House is in recess until 1:30.